Wow, so just ahead of the Eagles matchup with the Saints, safety CJ Gardner-Johnson is now all of a sudden in danger of missing his highly anticipated revenge game, as a surprise injury might just keep him out of his return to New Orleans. Meanwhile, we just got some new updates on the whole Devin White situation, and it's super confusing, as it seems like the Eagles could potentially be either blacklisting or actively trying to trade White. So what exactly is going on? And also, speaking of trades, there have been some really interesting rumors surrounding a potential Haason Reddick return to Philly due to a recent report. So could this actually happen? Well, we'll talk about that, as well as some interesting developments with the Eagles' run defense and pass rush, and so much more news starting right now. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Philly Fan 21 channel. If you're new, I'm Evan, and I cover all things Philadelphia Eagles. And let's start off with the captain and veteran cornerback Darius Slay, as of course we all know that the Eagles' leader in the secondary has come under fire this week due to letting up the game-winning touchdown pass to Drake London on Monday night. But the thing you gotta respect about Slay is that he doesn't run from the criticism. In fact, he welcomes it, as on the most recent episode of his podcast, he actually thanked the Philly fans for the criticism.
Yeah, man, you're going to see a lot better plan from me. So y'all be on the lookout, man. I know y'all was blowing me up, Philly fans. I appreciate it. I deserve it. Give it to me. No diddy. But I deserve it, man. But this week, I'm locked in even more than what I was. Like I've always been. I'm always locked in. Best believe it. But it's nothing better than going into a game, being doubted. That's what make me know. Give me the boost, man. You know what I'm saying? I always give you the boost to kind of like be doubted. And I've always been a guy that's always been the doubted guy, and I overachieved everything I done did, man. Even though I've been one of the best in this world for a long time, people try to throw that age out there, but we ain't worried about that. We gonna go lock in this week, man. Got a big game this week, and we'll go to it.
So it seems like Slay is using the recent doubt and criticism to motivate himself even more, and I love that because, I mean, the Eagles may need a little extra boost, especially on defense with the way they played in that Falcons game, and also heading into this game versus the red-hot Saints. And for Slay specifically, he's going to have some tough matchups in this game with those talented Saints wide receivers, and he actually spoke about that this week as well.
Defensive players aren't kind of catching up to Shaheed yet in terms of how explosive he is. What do you see on about Rashid Shaheed?
Yeah.
About how explosive he is.
Benz knew that since he came into the league. I think I played him as a young buck, as a rookie. He came here with 12 LB. So it was already showing explosiveness. So my attendance was already up, man. Just know them guys really can run and go. And that boys got a lot of potential to be a great duo together. And you know, but yeah, maybe on the light for them for sure. That's been my known thing. I've been knowing them, been watching their film. They're both talented at what they do. We just got to limit to what they do.
Slay and the Eagles are certainly going to have a tough task trying to slow down these Saints receivers, along with Derek Carr, of course, who's just been lighting the league up recently. And overall, I mean, the Saints passing attack is just a tough matchup. But the biggest challenge for the Birds defense is going to be stopping Saints running back Alvin Kamara, as not only has the Eagles defense obviously really struggled against the run, but Kamara has started the year off extremely hot in both the run and pass game. And running the ball specifically, he's off to a historic start, as he's just the fourth player in the last 40 years to have 198 rushing yards, of 5.7 yards per carry average, and 4 rushing touchdowns through the first 2 games of the season. And also that 5.7 yards per carry average is also currently the highest in the NFL right now. So the Eagles certainly have their work cut out for them, especially considering they've allowed 6.4 yards per carry on average so far, which is historically bad. And the blame for the Eagles' horrible run defense certainly falls on everybody. I mean, it falls on Vic Fangio for not coaching the guys well enough and having them prepared, and also just not putting them in the best positions to succeed. And it also falls on the players for not executing and being disciplined and technically sound. But someone who I do think at this point has probably gotten a little too much blame is defensive tackle Jordan Davis. And this is actually me checking myself, because just a few days ago I criticized Davis heavily for not being the anchor of the run defense that the Eagles need him to be, and also just not living up to the hype of being a first-round pick just a couple years ago. But I gotta shout out Jake Rabati on Twitter, who opened my eyes to the fact that Davis may not actually be playing that horrible right now against the run, as he posted some All-22 film along with the breakdown showing that JD did hold his own and do his job defending the run quite often in the Falcons game on Monday night, and he made a significant and positive impact on multiple occasions. Meanwhile, the real issue with the run defense have been guys on the edge, mainly Bryce Huff and Josh Sweat, just not keeping contained and setting the edge, as the Falcons saw a lot of their success running outside zone plays, which I actually did break down in my last video. And again, to be fair to Davis, he can't really shine as a run defender and anchor if the guys around him aren't doing their jobs well enough. Now look, I still do think that JD deserves some blame, as there were certainly times when he didn't do his job well enough, and also with him being a first-round pick in his 3rd year that has yet to break out, he's of course going to be held to a very high standard. But I can admit, maybe myself and some other Eagles fans have been a bit harsh on JD this week. Now, what do the Eagles actually have to do to be better against the run, besides the edge rushers obviously setting the edge better? Well, Nakobe says the answer is pretty simple. Just have better technique and do the things they should have already been doing doing in the first place?
Execution on the details, execution on the call. I mean, details on the call, details on the technique. That's how you stop it. You know, we get the people supposed to be tackling, we get the people supposed to be striking people, we get the people supposed to be beating blocks, then we're going to be great.
That doesn't sound like an easy one-day fix, is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's things that we supposed to have been doing anyway, that we have done and that we can do. So it's like, just get to doing it. That's basically it. So just everybody going out there and practice today. We working on our technique, working on our hand. We getting our 500 shots post practice, and everything like that too.
So here we have Dean pretty much echoing what his defensive coordinator Vic Fangio said when it comes to fixing the run defense. So we'll see if the extra focus on the fundamentals and details and technique resonated with the players and if they're a more disciplined and cohesive unit against the run on Sunday. And cohesive is the exact word that can be used to describe what the Eagles' pass rush needs to be if they want to be successful. And I actually do want to bring up a very interesting stat regarding the pass rush through 2 weeks. And don't worry, we're going to get into that and so much more in just a minute here, but real quick, I do want to say if you are enjoying this video and don't want to miss any other Eagles content or coverage just like this coming throughout this entire season, then make sure you subscribe and also really importantly turn on notifications so you're notified instantly when one of these videos is uploaded. I think that's a win-win for the both of us because not only do I get more people consistently watching these videos, but you don't miss any other Eagles coverage or content just like this. So again, subscribe, turn on notifications, and also drop a like. Let's see if we can hit 700 likes on this video. And now, with all that being said, let's get back into the video. So as I was saying regarding the Eagles pass rush, even though they clearly haven't been good enough through 2 weeks, they may not be quite as hopeless as we all may have thought, as Brett Coleman on Twitter pointed out that the Eagles defensive line has actually been able to get a good amount of pressure as their 7th in D-line pressure percentage. It's just that they aren't finishing, as they have only 2 sacks and 34 such pressures. So that's obviously not good enough, but it also does give you hope that if they start playing more cohesively and if they can clean things up against the run a little bit, then maybe those pressures will start to result in more sacks when the Birds are in clear pass rushing situations. But for the Eagles to really unlock their pass rush and the run defense to get things right, Bryce Huff is going to have to figure his crap out because, as we all know, Huff could not have had a more disappointing start to his Eagles tenure than he's had in these first 2 games, and I think it's safe to say that Huff knows that, and he knows that he has to be better. And he actually got the chance to speak on Thursday about what he has to do to be better, and this is what he said.
Just being more consistent and setting the edge and switching up my rushes as much as I can and making the game a little bit harder for the tackles instead of giving them the same look every time.
So glad to hear him mention just setting the edge in the run game and also switching up his pass rush moves. Now obviously it's much easier said than done and he has to show that he can do these things on the field, but it's at least good to know that he knows what he needs to do to get better. And let's face it, I mean, the Eagles need this guy to figure it out and perform. They paid him big money for a reason, he's playing a big role for a reason, and it doesn't sound like his role is going to change anytime soon, as when asked about it on Thursday, defensive coordinator Vic Fangio confirmed that Huff will in fact remain a starter for this defense.
Yeah, he's still going to be the starter, but we're mixing those guys in as I know you know, and we'll continue to do that.
Yeah, so like I said, the Eagles are really relying on Huff to figure it out and become a good player for this defense, so we'll see if he's able to do that or not. But I do actually want to go back to what Vic Fangio just said there because I think it's really interesting. Now, I think we can all agree that Huff has sucked to start the year, and there are intriguing young players on the depth chart behind him that have showed promise, and many fans have called for them to get more snaps over Huff, Jalix Hunt being an example. Yet, Fangio said Huff is still the starter. Meanwhile, you have linebacker Devin White over here, who came to the Eagles as the projected #1 linebacker on the team, and he was benched before week 1, then he got injured and didn't suit up for week 1, and then he was also a healthy scratch for week 2, which is kind of crazy. And what's the big difference between Devin White and Bryce Huff? Well, Huff is being paid a big contract and Devin White is not. And it gets even crazier as you have Vic Fangio saying in a press conference on Thursday that White is continuing to work hard in practice and is ready if need be, but it still has not been clearly defined what White exactly has to do to actually suit up and play for this team. As when asked if Vic Fangio had told him what he has to do to get on the field, he said this.
Nah.
What you can do to get out there?
Nah. Might tell y'all. I don't know.
Yeah, that's really weird to me and doesn't sound right at all. And to me, and again, this is pure speculation, but to me, it seems like one of these two things could possibly be happening here. But one, either Devin White has been blacklisted by the Eagles and they're not going to play him for whatever reason, or Howie Roseman and the Birds are trying to find a trade partner for him. So I honestly just think overall, this whole situation with Devin White is really weird, especially since he has a skill set that could be valuable for a defense that is struggling to rush the passer, as he's great blitzing at linebacker and he's also bigger. So maybe you could use some unique packages where he's just rushing off the edge. So I guess we'll see what happens with White as the season goes on, but again, as of right now, I just think this is a super weird situation. Not quite as weird as the situation going on in New York with former Eagle Haason Reddick, though, as the star pass rusher still hasn't shown up for the Jets now 3 games into their season as he looks for a new contract extension, and he's lost a ton of money because of it, and probably because of that, it seems like we're going to have a resolution very soon, with Dan Graziano reporting, quote, "Keep an eye out this weekend and early next week for potential movement on the Haason Reddick front with the Jets," and with Reddick tweeting out Thursday morning, quote, "God will always make a way." And as a believer, I 100% buy into that, and many Eagles fans have talked themselves into believing that God's way for Reddick is back to Philadelphia. And it does make some sense at this point, as the Eagles need help at edge rusher, and Reddick never did want to leave. And you know, Howie Roseman is always looking at every possible opportunity to improve the roster. But before we get all fired up about this, I still don't think that this is going to happen. The Jets have said in the past that they aren't going to trade him, and they've held firm on that. So I honestly think that the most likely scenario is that Reddick comes to an agreement with them on some sort of new contract just so he stops losing money. But you never know. So what do you guys think is going to end up happening with Reddick? Give me all your thoughts down in the comments below. But now, getting to a surprising development from Thursday, we got onto the Eagles practice field where the team was preparing for their matchup with New Orleans on Sunday, but Thursday's injury report revealed that one surprising player wasn't out there, as during the week of his anticipated revenge game, the former Saint CJ Gardner-Johnson apparently suffered some sort of foot injury and he missed Thursday's session. And that's certainly not a good sign, as the Eagles' depth at safety is rather thin, and CJ, although giving up some big plays, has also made some big plays and been one of the vocal leaders of that defense. Plus, the edge he brings out on the field is just so valuable. And you better believe that he was going to be a little extra fired up for this one, as earlier in the week, he was asked about his return to New Orleans, and he said, quote, "Truthfully, honestly, I'm already hated, so I've got nothing to say. Truthfully, what do I have to say? They got rid of me, I didn't get rid of them, so hey, we'll see y'all Sunday." But now, unfortunately, we may not see him on Sunday after all, which would really, really suck. And it would also force the Eagles to probably shuffle things on the back end, with Avonte Maddox maybe moving to safety and Cooper DeJean or Isaiah Rodgers having a bigger role, so we'll surely find out more about CJ's injury status for this game later today, so I'm going to make sure to keep you guys updated on that, as well as just all the other latest Eagles news in a video tomorrow. And also, if you don't want to miss any other Eagles coverage just coming throughout this entire season, then make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications, and also drop a like just to show some support if you did enjoy this video. I would greatly appreciate that, because it really does help me out a ton. Again, let's see if we can hit 700 likes on this video, and also just leave a comment regarding anything else that I talked about in this video. And also, if you want to watch another video going over how Dallas Goedert could potentially have a bigger role in this game against the Saints, among other things, you can check this out right here. Now, with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys, so thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.